There are certain voices that seem to carry time inside them. The moment you hear them, everything slows down just a little. For more than 5 decades, that voice has belonged to Sam Elliott. Calm, deep, and unhurried, it has narrated stories of cowboys, wanderers, brothers, and men quietly carrying the weight of their lives. Yet the legend most people recognize today almost never happened. For nearly 20 years, Hollywood kept almost choosing him. Directors remembered the face, but forgot the name. Casting rooms closed with polite smiles, while safer choices walked away with the roles. Elliott did not arrive in the spotlight young and celebrated. He was shaped slowly, like stone worn by time. What makes his story remarkable is not sudden fame, but endurance. Before the mustache became iconic and the voice unforgettable, there was simply a man who refused to disappear. A childhood marked by quiet distance. Sam Elliott was born on August 9, 1944, in Sacramento. His father worked for the California Department of Fish and Game, a practical man who valued discipline and stability. His mother brought warmth to the home, holding the family together with quiet care. From the outside, it looked like a typical post-war American household. But sometimes the most important things in a family are the things never spoken. Elliott grew up longing for approval from a father who believed strongly in practical careers and traditional paths. The young boy, who would later embody confidence on screen, often felt uncertain about where he belonged. When the family moved to Portland during his teenage years, that feeling only deepened. He was tall, a little awkward, and far from the confident figure audiences would later admire. Instead of recognition at school, he found comfort in nature, wandering the Oregon hills where silence offered clarity, discovering a calling against expectations. The first real turning point came during Elliott's time at the University of Oregon. Somewhere between classes and long moments of reflection, he realized he wanted to become an actor. It was not a casual interest. It felt like a direction his life naturally leaned toward. But when he shared this dream with his father, the response was cautious and doubtful. Acting seemed uncertain and impractical compared to stable work. That conversation stayed with Elliott for years. For a while, he tried the safer route, transferring to Clark College and taking practical jobs, including work as a land surveyor. Yet the pull toward storytelling never left him. Some ambitions are quiet, but persistent. Eventually, Elliott understood that ignoring the dream would cost him more than pursuing it. With little money and no industry connections, he made the decision that would define everything that followed. He moved to Los Angeles to try. 20 years in Hollywood's wilderness. Hollywood in the late 1960s was not an easy place for newcomers, especially those who did not fit the popular mold. Elliott's deep voice, calm presence, and rugged look were unusual at a time when different types of leading men dominated the screen. He found work where he could: small television roles, background appearances, and occasional commercials. His first notable moment came in a commercial for Chevron. It was brief, but it proved he could hold the camera's attention. The years that followed were filled with waiting tables, parking cars, and attending auditions that rarely led anywhere. He appeared in shows like Gunsmoke and Mission. Impossible. But the roles were small and quickly forgotten. These were not glamorous years. They were years of patience, persistence, and quiet belief in something that had not yet fully revealed itself. A loss that changed everything. In 1970, Elliott received devastating news. His father had passed away before seeing any real success in his son's acting career. The moment carried a quiet heartbreak. The man whose approval had meant so much would never witness what Elliott would eventually become. Rather than breaking his determination, the loss deepened it. It became part of the emotional foundation he carried into his work. Actors often draw from their own experiences, and for Elliott, that sense of longing and quiet strength became visible in many of the characters he portrayed. The absence remained, but so did the motivation to keep going. Even when Hollywood seemed indifferent, he continued showing up for every role, treating small opportunities with the same seriousness he would later bring to larger ones. In many ways, those early struggles became the training ground for the career still waiting ahead. The role that finally opened the door. By the mid-1970s, Elliott began receiving roles with slightly more substance. One of the first major steps came with the film Lifeguard, where he played a man confronting the uncertainty of his future. The role did not make him an instant star, but it proved he could carry a story. Slowly, the industry began to notice the authenticity he brought to every performance. Elliott did not try to imitate other actors. He simply leaned into who he already was. His mustache, his calm voice, and his grounded presence became part of his identity rather than obstacles to overcome. Still, recognition came gradually. Hollywood often rewards persistence eventually, but rarely quickly. For Elliott, every small step forward felt like confirmation that the long years of waiting had not been wasted after all. A love story that outlasted Hollywood. During these same years, Elliott's personal life quietly transformed in a way that would prove even more important than career progress. While working on the film The Legacy, he reconnected with actress Katharine Ross, whom he had briefly met years earlier during the production of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Their relationship developed slowly, without the spotlight or publicity that often surrounds Hollywood couples. They married in 1984 and soon welcomed their daughter, Cleo Rose Elliott. Their partnership became one of the most enduring marriages in the entertainment industry. Instead of chasing constant attention, they built a quieter life together. For Elliott, that stability offered something Hollywood rarely provides: balance. It reminded him that while acting mattered deeply, the life waiting beyond the film set mattered even more. The moment the world finally noticed. The late 1980s finally delivered the kind of recognition Elliott had been working toward for decades. His performance in Roadhouse introduced him to a wider audience. As Wade Garrett, he played a mentor figure whose calm authority stood out in every scene. It was not the lead role, but it made people ask the same question again and again. Who is that actor? From there, his reputation grew steadily. In 1993, he appeared in Tombstone alongside Kurt Russell and Val Kilmer. Playing Virgil Earp, Elliott brought quiet strength to a story already filled with memorable performances. His style was different from many actors of the time. Less dramatic, more grounded, that authenticity made his characters feel real, and audiences began recognizing the depth he brought to every role. Recognition after half a century. Even after becoming widely respected, Elliott's greatest wave of recognition arrived much later. In 2018, he appeared in A Star is Born, directed by and starring Bradley Cooper alongside Lady Gaga. Elliott played Bobby Maine, the older brother of Cooper's character. His performance was quiet, but emotionally powerful. In only a few scenes, he captured the complicated bond between siblings shaped by love, pride, and regret. Critics praised the performance, and Elliott received nominations from major award groups. For many viewers, it felt like a long overdue acknowledgement of a career that had already delivered decades of memorable work. The industry was finally giving him the recognition that audiences had felt for years. Still working, still grounded. Even into his later years, Elliott has continued working with the same dedication that carried him through his early struggles. In the series 1883, connected to the world of Yellowstone, he portrayed Shay Brennan, a man carrying grief while guiding others across a dangerous frontier. The role reminded audiences why Elliott remains so compelling. His performances do not rely on dramatic gestures. They rely on honesty. Off-screen, he continues living a relatively quiet life with Katharine Ross along the coast of Malibu. Fame arrived eventually, but it never seemed to change the way he approached life or work. He still values the simple rhythm of ordinary days. A legacy built on patience and authenticity. The legacy of Sam Elliott is not defined by a single role or moment of fame. It is defined by endurance. For 20 years, he worked without recognition, believing that authenticity mattered more than popularity. Over time, that belief proved right. His voice, his presence, and his steady commitment to honesty on screen turned him into one of the most recognizable figures in American cinema. Today, his story stands as a reminder that success does not always arrive quickly. Sometimes it grows slowly through persistence and patience. Elliott did not become someone different to fit Hollywood's expectations. Instead, he remained himself long enough for the world to notice. And when it finally did, it realized something remarkable had been there all along.